Now I will explain how to find the integration of secant x dx. Let the integration become the integration of secant x multiplied by 1 dx, and choose 1 to be secant x plus tangent x over secant x plus tangent x. If we multiply now secant x into secant x plus tangent x, the result is secant square x plus secant x tangent x over secant x plus tangent x. Notice that the derivative of secant x plus tangent x is the derivative of secant x is secant square x, and the derivative of tangent x is secant x into tangent x. Notice that it is the same of denominator. It is the numerator of this fraction. So we can rewrite the integration as du over u, and the result of integrate du over u is the ln u inside the absolute value plus c. So the integration of secant x become what? The ln of secant x plus tangent x plus c. We will use this in the next question. He asks us to find the integration of secant cubed x dx. We will rewrite secant cube x as secant x square or secant square x multiplied by secant x. Now we will choose u as secant x and dv as secant square x into dx. So the integration of secant cube x dx become the integration of secant square into secant x. Now u times v. So I have now secant x multiplied by tangent x minus v times du secant x tangent x multiplied by tangent x dx. So I have secant x tangent square x dx. And we know that tangent square x is equal to secant square x minus 1. I write it as negative 1 plus secant square x. So we can multiply now secant x times negative 1 give us negative the integration of secant x multiplied by dx. If I multiply negative by negative, I have positive. So the first integration become a plus integration of secant x dx minus now secant x times secant square x, which is equal to a negative integration of secant cube x into dx. Notice that this integration is equivalent to the first one. So we can take it from the right hand side to the left hand side. I have two integration of secant cube x dx, and the remainder terms secant x tangent x plus the integration of secant x into dx, which is equal to ln secant x plus tangent x inside absolute value plus c. So our integration is 1 over 2 if I divide both sides of this equation by 2. So we have the integration of secant cube x into dx equal 1 over 2 secant x dx tangent x plus the ln of secant x plus tangent x inside absolute value plus c.